Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case that began in Oil City, Louisiana, a small community in Caddo Parish. In January 2011, a 31-year-old mother of three disappeared after she was last known to be outside her mother's apartment around midnight. Only a few hours later, her car was found burning miles away and completely destroyed by fire. She was not inside the vehicle. Within days, her ex-boyfriend was arrested. He was later convicted of second-degree kidnapping and simple arson and sentenced to decades in prison. More than 15 years later, she has still not been found. This is the story of Tracy Winslow. Tracy Lynn Winslow was 30 years old in January of 2011. She was described as 5'2", approximately 175 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She had a burn scar near her left eye and several tattoos, including the word biscuit on her right leg, the name Eddie on her right calf, and a flower on her upper arm. Tracy was the mother of three children. She had two older kids and a young daughter named Taikiana. At the time of her disappearance, she was living with her mother, Maggie Winslow, in the 100 block of North Dickey S Street in Oil City. January 23, 2011, a Sunday night. Tracy had been out earlier that evening. Around midnight, she returned to her apartment she shared with her mother. Witnesses reported hearing her talking outside with someone. Not long after that, they heard a vehicle leave the area. That is the last time Tracy Winslow was known to be seen or heard from. Around 2:30 in the morning, just a few hours later, deputies responded to a vehicle fire in the Shreveport and Caddo Parish area near North Lakeshore and Cunn Road. The vehicle was a silver 2006 Dodge Charger, registered to Tracy Winslow. The car was completely burned. Tracy was not found at the scene. Investigators did not locate her in or near the vehicle. Investigators turned their attention to one person, Eddie Lee Jackson. Jackson was Tracy's ex-boyfriend and the father of her children. The two had been in a long-term relationship, but had broken up a couple of months earlier. Trial testimony later described threats and violence leading up to that separation. According to testimony presented at trial, Tracy's two oldest children said they saw Jackson assault and threaten their mother with a gun. Her cousin, Felicia Holden, also testified. She said Jackson had sent Tracy threatening messages and that Tracy was so afraid she obtained a firearm for protection. Holden told the court she spoke with Tracy by phone for an extended period the day before the disappearance. During that call, Tracy expressed fear and concern about Jackson's behavior. Just days after Tracy disappeared, Eddie Lee Jackson was arrested and charged with second-degree kidnapping. Prosecutors later added a simple arson charge related to the burned vehicle. At trial, prosecutors presented a timeline built from cell phone records, witness testimony, and other investigative findings. Cell tower data showed Jackson's phone in the area where Tracy's car was found burning during the early morning hours. A neighbor also testified that Tracy's car was seen leaving the apartment complex that night. Prosecutors argued that the combined evidence showed Jackson's movements were inconsistent with his statements. The jury heard from investigators, family members, and multiple witnesses. They reviewed phone records, other evidence presented at trial, and testimony about the relationship history and threats. The defense challenged the state's interpretation of the timeline, but the jury ultimately sided with the prosecution. In 2012, Eddie Lee Jackson was found guilty of second-degree kidnapping and simple arson. He was sentenced to 40 years at hard labor without the benefit of parole, probation, or suspension of sentence for the kidnapping conviction, plus a 10-year sentence for arson to run concurrently. After his conviction in Tracy's case, Jackson was also charged in a separate matter with felony carnal knowledge of a juvenile, related to an allegation dating back to the mid-1990s. That charge was unrelated to Tracy's disappearance. Despite the conviction, Tracy's family still does not have closure because she has never been found. Her youngest daughter, Tykeana, was raised by relatives. Family members have said she grew up wanting answers about what happened to her mother. Over the years, the family has held vigils and memorial events and continued to ask for information. Family members have publicly said they believe someone may know more about what happened. In June 2011, skeletal remains were discovered behind a restaurant on East Texas Street in Bossier City. Investigators compared dental records, and for a time, the family waited for results. Months later, authorities confirmed the remains were not Tracy Winslow. The search continues. Many questions in this case still remain. What exactly happened after Tracy was last heard outside the apartment she shared with her mother? Does someone out there have information about her whereabouts, and if so, where is Tracy Winslow today? More than 15 years have passed since Tracy Winslow disappeared. Eddie Lee Jackson is serving a long prison sentence, and it has not been publicly reported what happened to Tracy or where she is. Her family is still waiting to bring her home. Our thoughts are with the family and loved ones of Tracy Winslow. If you have any information about her disappearance, please contact Caddo Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. Their contact information is listed in the description below. As we close out this episode, remember that sharing Tracy's story helps keep her name in public awareness and reminds people that her family is still waiting for answers. For updates on this case and others, follow Hunting for Answers. You can also connect with us through our Facebook group and find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Reach out to us if there's a case or story you believe deserves attention. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.